I'm sorry about that.
All right, so this is the Sunday Market Blitz. As always, this week, or at the beginning of every week, me and Nick hop on. I'm just going to put my video on. Me and Nick hop on here. We go over all the pairs that we're looking at for the week ahead, what ideas that we have, for all the pairs that we're going to potentially trade. And we publish those. At the end of the week, we go back, we review them. Good practice for us, good practice for yourselves. Get some transparency into the ideas that we're looking at, for the signals and for the analysis and everything, the way we're breaking down the charts. So what we're going to do is in this premium section in the fundamental analysis, at the end of each week, we give this market overview, kind of just the key highlighted events around news that is being dropped, that is moving some of these currency pairs. So I'm just going to read through this real quick for everybody, and then we'll get started. So market overview. Today, currencies like the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar erased some of their recent gains due to news that the coronavirus pandemic may continue throughout the whole year. We shared this article. This, of course, caused a lot of risk-off sentiment, which pushed the safe haven currencies to the upside. Here's a short report from CNBC. The coronavirus pandemic is likely to last between 18 and 24 months, scientists from the University of Minnesota have predicted. And as Nick said, it's a very nice weekend this weekend. Like a lot of people are outside, not social distancing, kind of breaking quarantine rules. This is definitely, the making of some sort of, non-flattening of the curve, comeback of the virus, whatnot. So I think we could see a lot of, up and downs when it comes to, the numbers going down and then coming back up. And like this says,
it's not looking good.
Yeah, like this says, over the next 18 to 24 months, I can imagine that this is going to kind of be an ongoing problem until they get some sort of more concrete solution for a lot of these people, especially the ones that are exerting symptoms and are more susceptible to contracting the virus. I know somebody that I know had the virus like 2 months ago, and they just got tested again, and they have it again. So it's something that the people that are prone to getting it, or for whatever reason, are going to continue to get it. But yeah, there's a lot more for them to figure out. So in a report published Thursday, researchers from University Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy stressed that COVID-19 was more contagious than the flu and was likely to continue circulating after a wave this spring. Like we said, the new coronavirus has longer incubation period than the flu, meaning it takes longer for symptoms to appear after a person has been infected. They said nothing noted that the coronavirus may be at its most contagious before symptoms appear. Which it also pointed out that COVID-19 has displayed a higher rate of asymptomatic transmission as well as higher RO rate than influenza. So this is all building up the case that this could be, continuing on for the next, like we said, 18, 24 months. This, of course, bothers the markets and pushes investors to put their money into safe place, which is the JPY, which is Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, gold, and so on. So we saw gold, continue to appreciate. When we said in a previous analysis that we stay away from long-term decisions because of uncertainty, this is what we meant. In the last couple of days, everything looks so positive. And now the first thing you see is when you take a look at the news, and it is that the coronavirus is growing in the U.S. and may continue. That is the reason why we want to wait for a clear path towards our decisions. Be patient. Don't take long-term decisions right now. Stay safe. Stay motivated. So yeah, this is important. Obviously, there was a trade last week that was given out. A lot of people had questions on USD CHF. A lot of the decisions that we're making are very price action based. The overall time frames are becoming very skewed, and you have to really be concrete in which time frame you're identifying your trend and your overall sentiment on. So that is just the market overview. We'll get started with that, and we'll have Nick go in. As always, we'll start with the dollar index, DXY, which is just the value of the US dollar. And yeah, as always, this is recorded, so I'll let Nick go ahead and share his screen here, and you can get started.
Right, so as always, we start off with DXY, which is the dollar index. I'm going to kickstart it off with that, and then we're going to get into some pairs and what this week is looking like. So here's DXY. I've actually dropped to the 4-hour because I want to bring this to your attention. Last week, we said how this was starting to transition to the downside, which is good because we want to see DXY be as stable as possible. We want the dollar to be stable. We want to see it bounce between this range, right? Anything higher is kind of overvalued. Anything above this 101 handle Anything below this 98.5 would probably be due to news, especially if it's a sharp move. So we did see this transition happen. Again, this is the 4-hour. So this was a weak 4-hour bullish trend right here. Now we're getting this transition, this bearish trend here, which is a good sign. It's probably also fueled a little bit by negative news, but I mean, it still is within this range, so it's a good sign, right? We just want to see normal market movement start to resume. We don't want to see these giant pushes. You know, if there's a crap load of volume coming into the DXY, it's not really a good sign. We don't want to see people holding the dollar. We don't want to see dollar shortage. We don't want to see a giant rally that makes really no sense. There's no basis to be climbing up to the 103 handle. That's just overvalued, and it actually has an inverse effect when you start looking at other fiat currencies. So when the dollar is overvalued, other economies start hurting just because the dollar is so overvalued, right? So this is a pretty good area right now between the 101 handle above the 98.5. We've seen some of the other pairs start to form really good trends, really good structure, while DXY continues this, seemingly normal market movement, which is good. We just want to see that it's as stable as possible. It is the reserve currency of the world. If this is uncertain, that's not a good sign for every other, major currency, fiat currency. It's not a good sign. If DXY isn't even stable, which makes up for 80% of all trade, then, pretty much the entire market's going to be unstable. So it's good to see that we do have these clear 4-hour trends, right? So we're getting a little bit of a bullish trend, a transition, bearish trend, transition to a bullish, transition to a bearish. We just kind of want to see that happen.
You want to just go real quick, like why those are transitioning from bullish to bearish, though, like in your eyes?
Yeah, sure. So here's a good example. So let's zoom in right on this price action here. This is a 4-hour bullish trend clearly. Now it's not that strong because it isn't forming, like these legs higher aren't like crazy high. It's actually pulling back quite a bit after each leg. So I would deem this a weakening trend, and it confirmed it here. Once we hit the 101 handle, we saw this large bearish engulfing, right? And it's not a transition until it breaks this structure level here, which is acting as support. So once that level breaks, once these MAs cross and we start getting retests followed by more bearish candles than bullish, that's confirming this transition here. So it's pretty clear to see once this support level breaks, right? Breaks out of this channel, comes up, gets a lower high, and we start pushing lower, right? Starts pushing lower with these bearish trends, which is a good sign. And then that's where this bearish trend is confirmed, and it's continuing to the downside. Much like what happened over here, we had a large push higher, and then rejection around the 101 handle, comes down, gives us a lower high below the MAs, confirmed for the cross, and then we start getting more bearish candles and bullish. That would be the 4-hour bearish trend right here. And then we have a transition right here. Once it got past this level, we were then bullish, right? So this is key resistance. See how many times it touched? One. Well, let me just get it level, actually. So it touched, actually needs to be higher. Why is that? Right about here, 99.65. Excuse me. So it's touched once, twice, 3 times. Then it finally broke its resistance, turned support, tested once, twice, 3 times, and then continued higher. So that was a good sign. That's the start of this transition. So that would be the start of this 4-hour trend right here. And then the same thing happened, as I just said, to the downside. So that's good to see, right? It's good. It's you can clearly identify structure on the 4-hour. So that's why, we're hanging around this 4 hours so much. And we kind of want to see that transition for the bulls to take over. We want to see that bullish transition happen around this 98.5 area. Just like back here, we want to see that rejection, and then, eclipsing of the lower high, getting our first higher low, and then multiple bullish confirmations. That's what we want to see. If we start seeing, sporadic movement, like a DXY just starts dropping to this monthly, that's not a good sign. That's showing extreme uncertainty. That's showing overvalued dollar, when right now it's in a good area. So we just want to continue to see this range. If we start seeing these crazy movements, just be aware, maybe step back, wait for the market to calm down. But, we want to just keep seeing what's happening. What we've been seeing is what we want to continue to see. So that's DXY, right? Very clear on this 4-hour. So let's keep going. I'm going to move over to AUD USD. And this is primarily bearish on higher time frames. Very, very bearish. It's pulled back up to a key resistance level right around this weekly, right around this 88.6% fib level. Very good area. We could see the higher time frames start to come into play here. We could see some serious bearish movement, some serious bearish volume start to push this pair down, which is kind of what we want to happen. You know, again, we're trend traders. We want to see that the bears, we want to see the higher time frame trends kind of come into effect here.
So obviously he's starting on a higher time frame. He's starting on the higher time frame. He's got his fibs. You know, the why as to why he's doing all this stuff. He's waiting for the trend to get to a confluence level. I know someone asked a question about confluence, you know, what that is and everything.
Now, I'm only bringing this to your attention, the daily bearish trend here, because we are at such a key level. But last week, you know, our analysis was very bullish because this is a very strong 4-hour trend. Very, very strong. And this goes pretty much in hand with what I was saying about DXY, how that bullish trend was weak because it wasn't making these, you know, big pushes higher followed by retracements, which is what we see here. You know, a lot of volume, big volume, good retracement, followed by a big push, a lot of volume. Here's a retracement. You know, some consolidation. We can identify a pattern here. Clearly, it's a triangle, and then a break higher. Big volume push, right? So that is a strong trend. But now, again, because we are at that, you know, that key level, this weekly resistance, because we know the higher time frames are bearish, we're going to start to look for, you know, potential bearish opportunities here. Now, I'm not going to short just because it hit this level. I want to see confirmations. I want to see a clean transition on this 4-hour. I want to see a 4-hour bearish trend start to get established. And that's only going to happen after I see this 0.64 handle break. I want to see it clearly broken, followed by a retrace. I want to see a confirmed lower high, some good bearish volume, you know, get it on a good pattern, you know, a nice evening star. I want to see tons of exhaustion. Basically just, you know, the starting point of any good trade. You know, you want to see those confirmations. And this could be a really good potential trade if we see this play out. So again, I want to see a nice significant close, good volume, followed by a retrace, confirm lower high, and then we could target down towards this monthly, this 0.602 handle. And this could be a massive trade, guys. So I'm just going to show you, it's almost 400 pips. Now, there always is potential for more, you know, more than that down to this monthly, but just to this handle here, we're looking at 380. So this is going to be a massive trade if we see those confirmations. And it's looking pretty likely. Like right now, I'm seeing everything I want to see. We got that good rejection off this weekly. And, you know, from here, that's probably the first good sign of a potential bearish trade here, because we want to catch the beginning of this transition, and we're just going to wait for those confirmations. So let's bring it up to the daily so I can show you guys. Again, if we do see those confirmations, right, it breaks below this 4-hour support, tests as resistance, gives us a lower high. You know, we could even, if we see that happen, this is going to be a daily head and shoulders. I actually just noticed that right now. If it follows this path exactly, comes down, pulls back, this is the left shoulder, this is the neckline, this is the head. This would be the touch of the neckline again, right shoulder, and then boom, we're going to come down to here. So that would be another confirmation. It's always good to identify patterns, be aware of what's possible and what's not, you know, given what you can see here on the chart. And this is looking very probable right now. Again, just going to wait for those confirmations, and we'll be making potentially a 380 pip trade down to this monthly, and potentially even lower as we play into the higher time frame, fibs here, because the negative 27 is down in this confluence area around this weekly level. So we could see a big move start to happen here. But all in all, this 4-hour trend was very bullish, but this was more, it's just a retracement, you know. Until this level is broken right here, this is bearish. Until this level right here, around 660, I'll mark this in red just so it's clearly visible. Big red, right, like that, boom. Until this is broken, this trend is bearish, right? So this is, I'm only going to consider longs here again in this particular area when this breaks, right? If this breaks, then we're going long. Because this is a major level. And that would signify a daily transition to the upside, right? But until that happens, we're super bearish. As you guys can see, I'm zooming out. This is a bearish trend. There is no dispute in that. Super bearish. This is just a retracement, but it is a strong 4-hour bullish trend. So that's the analysis for AU. Again, we're always favoring the overall trend. So that's why I'm bearish on this. That's why I am currently looking for shorts from this area. Okay, so that's AU. And just again, for those of you who are, you know, some people are new, some people have been in this, you know, Sunday Market Blitz many times. These analyses are all posted in our Discord analysis channel. So definitely review them on your own. Maybe mark these up first by yourself and then compare it to our analysis. Because this is a really big tool that you can learn from. There's a lot of value, and you're pretty much getting insight every week as to how we're seeing the market and what we're expecting. So let's move on. This is AJ here, very similar to AU. Again, primarily bearish in higher time frames. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Very, very bearish channel here. So primarily bearish, right, on the daily, weekly, monthly. We had this large push, overextended like crazy, so that a strong bullish 4-hour trend, was likely because it is acting as a retrace. It's pulling back pretty aggressively, and it's actually finding resistance at our confluence area. So what is a confluence area? An area where a lot of tools are lining up, a lot of indicators or resistance levels, support levels are lining up, and that's what we're seeing exactly here. We have a strong weekly resistance level right here around 70 handle, as well as a daily 61.8 fib level. So this is a good level. Good amount of confluence here, a strong level for sure, and we're seeing that rejection. This is one crazy evening start. This candle closed way more than 50% of the candle. It pretty much more than doubled it. So we're getting strong bearish movement from this weekly level, this weekly resistance level, which is a good sign because that means potentially it's starting to play into the higher time frame trends. So which is very bearish. So we could see a crazy amount of volume. Let's not forget, if you literally just look left a little bit, look at all this bearish volume. Crazy, crazy strong, huge bearish candles, which really doesn't come into, it's uncomparable to this, 4-hour trend. The volume does not match this. The bearish volume is much, much stronger than the bullish volume. So the fact that we got up to this key level, this golden fib level, is a good sign. Let's go ahead and drop down time frames so we can start to identify potential entries. Right, strong rejection. There it is on the 4-hour. Huge bearish volume coming into play. Still not quite convinced yet. We're still just a few confirmations away from looking for short opportunities actually entering. So we want to see it continue to push lower, kind of solidify that this is going to be a major transition. I want to see it come down to the 67.5 handle, right? Pull back a little bit on this 4-hour, give us a confirmed lower high, and then I want to see it blow right through this level, right through the 67.5 level, blow right through it after it's confirmed the lower high, because that's key, guys. We're always looking for those confirmations. So again, what would this confirmed lower high look like? Bearish engulfing candle, giant evening star, any bearish variation that has a good amount of volume, exhaustion, just and complete absence of, the bulls. We want to just see like consolidation happening from the bulls like that. Nothing really, no real big volume from the bulls would be a good sign, especially in this area, because then we could start looking for those confirmations as I just covered, and we could short all the way down potentially towards this 64.75 handle. So let's just get a good, range on what this would look like. About 280 pips. From point of entry could be over 300. Yeah, about just over 300 pips, about 300, 340. So again, another massive potential trade because we're looking at this on a macro scale, right? So the higher time frame trend is very bearish, and it looks like we're playing into that. And if this does continue, this is going to be a daily continuation, which is going to yield a big movement, a lot of pips. It's going to give us potentially this leg down all the way down to the 64.75 handle, and then potentially even lower. Because again, this is a daily fib. The negative 27 fib level is usually our target, which lines up pretty much with our weekly. We could see it get down to here if we see the right confirmations after it reaches 64.75. But until then, this is the play right here. We just want to see that clean transition on a 4-hour. Again, there could be the signs of a head and shoulders, much like we just covered on AU. Right, so this would be the left shoulder here. This would be the neckline, which is also right at the 67.5 handle. Key support, key structure. This would be the head, which rejected from the weekly at the 70 handle. And then we would get another touch of the neckline. Here would be the right shoulder up in this area, this pocket around 64.5. And then we could see it blow through the neckline, in which case it would be a big, big movement down to the 64.75 area, which is very likely if we see that happen. So again, this is looking pretty good. AU and AJ are looking pretty clean. I'm excited for this week. We've been kind of waiting on this for quite a while. This 4-hour trend has just been doing its thing since, mid-March. But it would be nice to see. It would be nice to see this play out in the beginning of May, and we could potentially, get this move all the way down to here. So again, AU, AJ looking really good for this next week or two, and of course we'll keep you guys updated. as we post analyses every week, and especially updates in the Discord. So just be aware of that. So here we go. We're going to move on to EU. So EU is looking pretty tricky. It kind of just depends on what USD is going to do. If we do get any sharp movement from USD, we'll obviously see that happen on EU. But from a technical standpoint, just by itself, it's very bearish. So we're going to favor the bears. We'll be looking for short opportunities from this current level, this 1.1 handle. It's looking like a double top. A good amount of exhaustion is happening right at this level, which is what we want to see. If I do see some bearish confirmations here, strong bearish engulfings, evening star, we could see a short opportunity as, in the next couple of days even, as early as Tuesday. And we could be making a big play to the downside. Again, we've been waiting on this to play out. This is a 350 pip trade if we see those confirmations. So I'm definitely leaning towards the bears on this one. I want to just see this reverse, give us those lower time frame confirmations on the 4 hour. Minor levels of support broken, minor levels of structure formed, and then as it plays into the higher time frames, it'll just solidify and give us confidence of this, potential short opportunity. So this is a good sign so far. I did mark this, potential, leg higher, because if we do see DXY fall out for whatever reason, if we do see some crazy bad news, DXY will drop. If we see some really bad news happen coming out of, America, out of the US, we'll see the US dollar, react to some degree. So if this does pop out and it closes here, and it's not just like a ripsaw like this, if we do see a real close above, look for a higher low. And then we'll simply just change our sentiment, because that will mean that this giant daily trend maybe transitioning to the bulls. We could see this push higher then, in which case, we would target towards this monthly. Whatever happens, we're ready, but we are favoring the bears as of right now. As of right now, the bulls are not looking that strong. Again, even this big push here, this is still just a lower time frame, bullish trend. This little leg, these 7 candles, let's say right here. But until we see any sort of break of this, resistance level, we're super bearish on this, guys. Okay. So again, this is a 350 pip trade, roughly 3.28 risk to reward, and this could yield a good return, guys. A lot of pips, good return. So we'll just keep an eye on this one. Still want to see, we're still in the daily here, because I still want to see a couple more daily candles play out. At least see what happens with this candle here at market open. So let's keep going. I'm going to move on to EJ, and then I'm going to cover gold for you guys, and I'm going to pass it off to Angela. So here's EJ. Similar to EU, not as affected by the US dollar as EU is, but still it forms very similar, structure and trends to EU. So, the one major similarity here is this giant bearish trend, right? This giant bearish trend. EJ has a little more volume than EU, so that's why this channel is a little wider. But it is looking pretty good right now. This trend here is super bearish. So the overall trend is very, very bearish. And then we have this 4 hour trend, also very, very bearish, right? Forming lower lows down here. So last week, we saw this pop. We saw the price action pop below this monthly support. I wasn't that convinced, which is, that this was it right here. Like this was the break, and then this was going to be the push. I really wasn't that convinced. The volume wasn't that great. And then the lower time frame confirmations really weren't that great either. You can see there's a lot of wicks in here. And this more or less was just a fake out. It is testing this level. It did get below it, which is a good sign. It did technically break, but it's still not, it wasn't convincing. So we kind of just held off on that. We're still sitting here on the daily, just waiting. But right now we did see, it faked out, it pulled back, but it is still very bearish. So, I would like to see it break back below this monthly support, a little bit lower down in this area, followed by a retracement with a confirmed lower high. And then another bearish, a lot of bearish confirmations would be really good to see in this area. Like a nice, evening star like you could see here would be nice to see, or a nice bearish engulfing like this. That would be enough to enter on. And then, we would then be protected by this monthly resistance level, and we could target down towards this weekly around 111.65. So this would be about almost a 400 pip trade, almost 3.6 risk to reward. So very good, very high probability. It's well within our rules. We're just going to wait for those confirmations. So this is a pretty massive trade. This one's probably going to take a couple more days to play out as well. I just want to see price kind of halt here and then start giving us those big ass bearish confirmations, those big ass bearish candles. You know, something that's going to say, hey, the bears are here to stay. You know, there's some conviction. There's no doubt that this is just going to keep pushing lower in a pretty good trend. So this is that bearish example here. Again, if we do find support here, I always try to give you guys the flip side, both potential scenarios. This would be a short-term play on a 4-hour. You know, it's still 130 pips, which is a good amount. 2.5 risk to reward. So if you do see some bullish confirmations on a lower time frame in here, this could be a short-term play up to the 118.5 handle. But even so, if you are taking this counter trend trade, you know, just use proper risk management. You know, we are only targeting 118.5. We're not choosing an unrealistic target around this weekly, which is like in line with this higher time frame structure up here in this area. And that doesn't really make sense because, you know, this price action hasn't been moving that way. So it's just been forming, you know, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. So for this to just say, hey, it's going to come up this weekly is not really, you know, logical. So I did give you guys, you know, a lower time frame potential long opportunity if it holds here this week and shows those lower time frame bullish confirmations. But again, guys, we're trend traders. We want the highest probability trade at all times. And in this scenario, you know, it's very bearish. So we're going to stick with a bearish bias, which means we're going to continue to short. So we're just going to wait until this plays out. I'm pretty confident in this. This little surge here looks a little, you know, speculative to me. It's not really, doesn't have that much weight in my opinion. It's not breaking any higher time frame structure. So I'm still going to remain bearish on this. So that's EJ. Let me hop on over to gold. This one's looking pretty interesting. You know, as we know, gold has been super, super bullish, right? You know, I said last week and the last couple of weeks that we're targeting this 1800 handle, which is still very much in the realm of possibility. You know, we didn't break any major support level yet. If anything, we're showing, price action is showing that this support level is very, very strong. You know, this monthly support, which is also a confluence area. This 38.2 is here. These MAs are right in this area. This is a really strong zone, and you can see these wicks. You know, every time it comes to this monthly area, it rejects pretty hard. You get these long wicks, which signifies a lot of, you know, sellers' exhaustion, which means the buyers are more in play than the bears, or than the sellers. So this is a good sign. Let's go ahead and drop to the 4-hour. You know, it is consolidating in this area, and I am very, you know, my bias is long. There's nothing in this pair right now on gold that's saying, hey, it's looking weak. Nothing at all. This is more or less just a double bottom right here on a daily time frame, which is a really good sign because it's, you know, it's showing that this area is strong. But in order to take long opportunities from this current level, I want to see price action hold here at this support. You know, it did break 1695, which is a good sign. I want it to hold here. And for a conservative entry, I want to see it break 1715. Give us a confirmed higher low right at that level, followed by strong bullish confirmations like this here. A nice, this would be perfect to see. I want to see a nice bullish engulfing right as this, you know, right where this higher low would be forming. Excuse me, that would be enough to enter on. And then, you know, we protect ourselves with our stop loss outside these two levels. You know, this would be the more conservative stop loss down here. This would be the more aggressive one if you wanted to, you know, use a larger lot size, you know, kind of have a short or tighter stop loss. You know, that would be where you'd put your stop loss outside of this confirmed higher low, outside the 1715 handle. But again, I am super confident that this is going to reach the 1800 handle. You know, it's just going to keep pushing higher, I think. Again, gold is it's a safe haven commodity. You know, everyone's kind of looking towards gold right now. You know, I'm sure everyone in here knows someone that's, you know, been talking about gold or saying, oh, I just bought a bunch of gold because all this uncertainty. And that's essentially why it's so appealing, why gold is such a good commodity to hold and to have. So this, I want to see it break 1715 once again, confirm higher low, give us those bullish engulfings. You know, a lot of exhaustion at this level would be good too. That counts as confirmation. And then I'm just looking for those bullish variations. We're going to long it all the way up to this 1800 area, which is also in line with our negative 27 fib level. So that's gold, guys. Very, very bullish. Looking pretty nuts. This could be a pretty good play into this week, you know, if we see those confirmations. So just a quick recap for you guys. I covered DXY, as always. Covered DXY, covered AU, covered AJ, covered EU, covered EJ, and finally I covered gold for you guys. So updates will be posted in our Discord. You know, right here, you guys should all be in here. So we'll be posting updates in here throughout the week. So stay tuned, guys, and that's what I've prepared for you guys. I'm gonna pass it off to Angelo. He's
What's
got
the what are the top pairs that you're looking at for like early this week?
AU, AJ,
AU and AJ.
AU, and AJ. So these are okay. So these trades are the 4-hour. These analyses were done on the 4-hour here, so that's closer to an entry, opposed to Euro, USD, and EJ, which are on the daily. I want to see more daily confirmation, so these are a bit further away from execution, opposed to AU and AJ as I covered, which are pretty close. I want to see that break followed by a higher low, a lower high on both of these, and then we'll target lower. On AU and AJ, looking very similar. Just want to see that lower high, right? Confirm lower high. Boom, we're short. All right. So Angelo, off to you, my man.
Cool. All right. So
Thank you, guys.
What pairs do you guys want to go over first? You guys watch fundamentals while I'm in the trade? No, we do not. We do not watch fundamentals while going into a trade. What me and Nick like to say is that fundamentals just accelerate the trend. So a lot of times fundamentals will make the market move to certain price points that it needs in order to accelerate the overall trend that it's already in. Now, let's see. AUD CAD. We don't have AUD CAD. We do have USD CAD. Like last week, Nick had a trade in AUD USD that spiked up and was definitely driven by fundamentals.
Yep, absolutely. So again, just to add to the fundamental question is we'll always make ourselves aware of it, but we'll actually never take a trade just based on fundamentals because that's playing into emotion. That's not necessarily
We just don't trade with. We just aren't fundamental traders. Like we have, in the chat, like we do have some lessons around fundamental analysis in the course, in the signal room. If you guys just got in, like we have a full lesson, like 10 lessons on the key indicators for fundamentals. Now we do have someone working with us that is more of a fundamental trader. That's like a position trader who, based on overall strength, like on reports that are coming on, if they're supporting the overall strength of that currency, they will take positions, and that's more of a long-term thing, which is why in the market overview we went over, at the moment we're not taking any long-term positions because the long-term is being affected because of the uncertainty as to a news event that could hit next week that changes really everything when it comes to the global, economic, picture. So we just trade with technical analysis. We don't trade with fundamental analysis. We trade entirely with technical analysis. So what does that mean? That means like Nick said multiple times, we evaluate trends. We do top-down analysis, as in we start on the monthly, go down to the weekly, and identify a trend on the daily. We look for our main zones, so zones at which price previously moved in either direction, and then we will look at price action. And we have, a couple of different ways we'll take entries: breaks and retest, breakouts, certain candlestick patterns that are confirmed at certain levels that we're forecasting. So all that we're doing right now is we're forecasting ideas. So ideally for all of you guys that are, in the beginning stages or maybe aren't as consistent or whatever, or not even trading yet, is you want to get to the point where you're like a market analyst, where you're forecasting an idea. You're forecasting an idea and you aren't in love with that idea, as in you're not gonna live and die by that one idea. Like you'll see that we forecast our ideas in multiple directions depending on what happens. Like we're not, just because we're bearish at the moment doesn't mean that the picture can change as the week opens up. As the week opens up and this Monday goes by, the next 24 hours, our original analysis could change, and we have to be able to make those decisions and almost be disconnected, emotionally from what we've made. I feel like a lot of that is people that are doing analysis in the beginning. They want to be right. They want to prove to themselves that they're learning, that they understand the material and stuff like that, so that when their forecasted idea doesn't work out, they get upset. And you shouldn't get upset about that. You should just continue to apply what you learn or apply what you know constantly to what you see. Okay? If you're not seeing things clearly, that's when you need to go back, watch the videos, do homework examples, go through exercises, just kind of maybe come on and remove yourself and just listen to me and Nick the way that we're communicating things. Obviously, Nick just went over 7 pairs and went, fairly quickly, but still took like about 40 minutes or 35 minutes.
Yep.
So there's a lot
to it.
There's a lot that goes through, and to get to the point, there are people that are at the point where everything Nick's saying does make sense. And for you, if you're confused or overwhelmed, by what's going on right now, that's fine. But you need to, just take it one step at a time, realize that we're communicating things at very high level, which is good to expose yourself to, along with, understanding where exactly you are at in your own journey. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go through some of the pairs that I have. Which screen do you see right now? Let's see.
I see just the logo.
Let's
Screen
go
2.
here.
The Discord.
Let's go on to USD JPY. So I saw some people want USD CAD. I'm going to do USD CAD. I'm going to go over basically all of the major pairs here. So I'm going to start with NZD USD. This is basically, for as you guys know, the orange denotes lower time frames, ones that I'm looking for entries on more so, or ones that I'm ready to enter on. Let's start as always, up on the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame, obviously very bearish. We got the red over blue right here, and then what I'll do is just some candlestick analysis. Just looking at the candlesticks right now. Between these two levels, we're at a support level. We had a lot of rejection, support off of this level. Then last week closed. And that going into last week, that's what I took notes on. If you go back and look at my analysis, we were looking for buys because of how this was forming. Bullish engulfing, sellers exhaustion. All that's telling me is that buyers are stepping in at the moment. Last week, we shot up. We shot up to retest this resistance level. We rejected at the end of the week, which I'll show you in a second. And that formed, this candle right here with a lot of buyers exhaustion below the moving averages. So everything right now to me is still supporting that we are bearish, that we're just very indecisive right now below this level. Let's just go down to the daily time frame. So the daily is where I have my overall fib. I got some technicals on here. Right here, I have a supply zone that I marked off. At the top of this range, I've got my fib from low or from previous low or high to my low. That we're coming up here to be retesting these levels. All of this is just a retracement. This is a healthy retracement. What becomes significant for me is this zone. This zone has this huge bearish engulfing candle. We manage not entirely to cross. We don't entirely cross, but we do fall below this. This level. See how the moving averages here do not cross. So this maintained this momentum here. This managed to maintain this momentum, which is why we were taking some buys in here. But at the moment, I'm just focused on this red zone. I'm focused on this red zone. We just came up to this area. We retested it. This is a serious resistance level, at the moment. And basically, last week closed evening star. Evening star, just like this, boom, bullish candle, doji, bearish candle, closed, and managed to close almost below previous candle. So this is a very, we're getting 2 confirmations here: resistance level, evening star, at a very significant level. So all that I'm thinking is that my overall time frame is bearish. Overall on the weekly, on the monthly, on the daily, we're bearish. We just got a bearish confirmation now at this level, 2 confirmations. Let me bump down, let me bump down to the 1 hour. Let me look at 1 hour structure right here. Let me see if anything is broken based on that higher time frame analysis. Right here, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these moving averages. These things had been maintained all the way from this level. This is a structure level that is forming. The markets are opening in 15 minutes. This is a structure level that was formed. And then we climbed all the way up to this level up here. We formed a pullback here, and then this was broken. This is a break of structure for me. These moving averages crossed, pulled through. This was a serious support level that was formed. This is what that higher time frame was really showing us. And then we broke a more minor level here as well. So as me and Nick talk about, now we're just simply waiting for a pullback. We're waiting for a pullback to one of our price reversal zone levels. Ideally this 38.2, we got some confluence with this level here. So we'll see what happens. I'm not necessarily going to just short here at the moment. Then I might get caught in this huge retracement and I'll be waiting forever. And it's not the ideal entry for me at the moment. So NZDUSD, I am waiting for some sort of pullback. Once I do get some confirmation in this zone, then I will short multiple confirmations here. So yeah, definitely more to come. I could even bring on a little bit of a trend line here. I can see that that was broken. This was my point A. This was my point B. So this trend has definitely shifted. This trend has definitely shifted. We can see, or we can wait and see whether this confirms for us and pulls back. So I'm really waiting, see if these moving averages cross, to the upside. And, we see got this 200-day right here. So we're coming into an area where we could find support. So I'm going to just wait and see how this plays out over the next 24 hours and see if we can catch a potential short opportunity here.
Absolutely. So to answer real quick Sumi's question, he's saying how close before an entry is for this one, for this particular analysis.
I think you sent that private.
I sent to everyone. So are you looking at this in the next few hours when market opens? So the lower time frame that we're getting on these analyses, the closer they are to entry. So this particular forecast here, you could technically see it play out. It looks like to be 5-6 hours, maybe more before we actually get that confirmation for an entry. But this trade is closer to potential entry than let's say AU, which I was looking at. I was still looking and waiting for those 4-hour confirmations. So at this point, we're waiting for this 1-hour pullback plus those 1-hour confirmations. So this is
like I said, I'm waiting over the next 24 hours to take an entry on this. This is something that's probably going to take the next day to show me what I need to see. So that's what I'm waiting for the next 24 hours. Head and shoulders on the 4-hour. What on this pair?
It would need to push lower then pull back to form that neckline. It's very stretch.
Let's see. You could drop a chart, if you want to show what you're looking at more, but I don't see it. Let's go to the 1-hour here. So yeah, we're gonna leave this up here again. I have this one marked in orange. These are ones that I'm just waiting for, earlier in the week to see how they play out. So let's bump over to GU. Let's start off daily time frame, weekly time frame. So again, always start off on the higher time frames, guys. Weekly time frame, doing our top down. This is important. We're gonna probably circle back later in the week and look at this. Is last week closed rejection off of this level of resistance? This candle right here is what I'm looking at. Closed below this previous candle, failed to engulf. All that tells me is that there wasn't enough buyers in the market at this point to engulf this bearish candle, and we're still bearish. So I'm, continuing to support my bearish bias. Let's hit up the daily time frame. Daily time frame, we've got our fib, right here. We're right at a resistance level. Last week closed, final candle, very bearish, at this point, very bearish. Didn't engulf, but it's showing me exactly what I need to see to think that we could start to transition, from this level, a little bit of a double top. Now I'll head down to the 1-hour, and this is what I'm talking about. The 1-hour all the way down to the 30-minute. So let's start off on the 4-hour. So the 4-hour at this point is, can be confusing. The 4-hour, looks bullish. The 4-hour is bullish. We made this new high, made this higher low down here. None of these levels were that significant for us. And then now at this point, we're coming back up, retesting this level. But remember that daily time frame for us is bearish. Daily time frame is bearish. So we're trying to start to see structure. And I'm trying to wait to see where could there potentially be a break for us where we can consider shorting. At the moment, on this 1-hour, we would need to break all the way down here, according to my rules and according to the way that I see structure. We would have to break all the way down here for me to start to consider shorts, right? Now, if we go to the 30-minute and even try to see on this time frame, we would have to wait to break here. These are higher lows for me, significant higher lows. We would need to wait for this to break. So despite that daily bearish candle, didn't engulf anything, didn't break any lower time frame structure. I'm not going to go to the 15-minute. It's too low for me, too much noise in that time frame. I'm going to stick to this time frame. So nothing for me doing yet. What I'm thinking on this pair right now, on this 1-hour time frame, I'm thinking we could get a little bit more movement upwards. You know, we could get more movement upwards before heading lower. We could consolidate, you know, in this range. I have this highlighted red zone. This is that previous level that was rejected. So I have this highlighted zone. We'll see how it reacts in this area. So I'm actually going to wait on this 1 hour time frame 2 on GU. And again, we have NZUSD, you know, thinking bearish. GU. What did you analyze for DXY? You analyzed DXY to be bullish?
I want it to bounce at the 98.5 area, but it could break support if you do get some seriously negative news. But right now it's at key support 98.5 on my.
And see how, you know, this is important. Look at DXY. Right now it's testing. It has fallen significantly. It's testing this level, you know, this kind of last level of support right here, this moving average. You know, last week did close bearish, no wick at all, which is important to note. Had this double top here. So it's testing a significant level right now. It's testing a level. We need it to close lower. We need it to close lower to really confirm, you know, it could find support here and bounce like it has done previously 1-2 times right now. So we'll see, you know, if DXY can pull back here, that would also, it's a little nerve across the world right now. Yeah. That would also support our ideas to go, you know, bearish on GU, bearish on NZDUSD, you know, obviously positive dollar, positive, you know, or, you know, GU going down and you.
So that's another thing. That's another thing you have to keep in mind too, is that your trends and your sentiment does have to line up. You can't really have conflicting trades. I mean, granted, you know, they're all going to move, you know, relative to each other. You know, some will cover more pips than the other. Some will move more, you know, of a percentage, you know, to the upside or downside than the other. But you shouldn't have conflicting analyses. Just keep that in mind as well.
But also at the same time, realize that GU, NU, and like UCAD and USEF, they kind of do correlate pretty well. UJ does not really correlate with these pairs. You know, last week USEF dumped and UJ popped up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just different. You know, these all don't correlate as well. Just be active in these pairs. You'll see which ones are sort of correlating with each other, which ones have more strength versus one another, and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, if you're, a lot of times you'll notice on my analyses is I'll go through and, you know, I'll be short NU, short GU, long USEF, you know, long UCAD, you know, and then UJ maybe in the middle or something. And then DXY will be bullish on. You know, it all kind of does line up. It all does line up. It all makes sense. But DXY is looking crazy right now. You don't want to predict DXY. DXY will, you know, do one thing or another and move with, you know, some volatility here. But at the same time, you want to be aware it is testing a support level right now. So we'll see if that can continue to develop and support our ideas. So GU, lower time frame, 1 hour, like I said, waiting to see if these levels start to break and we can head bearish. We could potentially, you know, find support here and come back up to retest this. But regardless, I'm looking to try to short this. Let's go to USEF. USEF, obviously, last week we had gotten into a nice trade on this. But the thing about trading is last week doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Last week is what it is. We got into a nice trade. You know, we made some money, a lot of us. But that doesn't affect, you know, this week. Now we got to come back to the drawing board, and we got to basically come back to what we were talking about last week is we were in this daily, you know, bearish fib. We hit 100%. We retested 88.6, right? So like we talked about, like as we get into these higher fib levels, we aren't going to just go from these higher fib levels all the way to zero. We're going to form new trends. We're going to form new trends. We're going to consolidate. We don't want to be tricked out. At the moment, on this daily, I would need to break this level here more recently for me to go bullish, for me to be bullish, for this to start to break higher time frame structure, stuff like that. The way I see it right now is we're retesting this support level. We're retesting this support level, you know, right here, this USD CHF daily support level. Let's go down to the 4 hour. So that's why I have this red highlighted zone. This red highlighted zone is like a key entry zone for me. So this is important because basically it's giving me a few ideas right now. It's telling me that although we are all the way at this low, This 4-hour structure just changed. We broke this. This was a significant level that broke right here. We broke this level. Cool. You know, significant level. Now we're at this low. You know, normally we want to wait for a pullback before entering. But if we do break below here and we do retest, I will look to short and continue this trend. You know, I'll look to short and continue this trend. Or we could find some support here. We could find some support, start to pull back, you know, to these levels. If DXY does start to go bullish, USD, you know, it'll start to pull back to these levels, all the way on this lower time frame. I don't see nothing doing right now. So I'm sticking on the 4-hour on this. I'm not even looking at this pair at the moment. I'm waiting for 3 4-hour candles to form, 4 4-hour candles to form. That's another 16 hours. So I'm not even going to look at this. So it's USD CHF early in the week, you know, just waiting to see, does it pop below or does it stay above? We'll see. You know, nothing doing at the moment. UCAD, this one is actually looking pretty good. So UCAD is, let's go daily, weekly. So daily time frame or weekly time frame, last week closed. Look at all this seller's exhaustion. So we are in this crazy situation right now. We're between these two zones. We're between these two zones. Most recently, we have this huge bearish engulfing. So that's telling me that there's more sellers than buyers in the market. Daily time frame started to make 2 consecutive lower highs. Right here, boom, and then more recently, right here, boom. So daily time frame, this is what I'm telling myself, is I need to break above this red zone in order for me to long. In order for me to long, I gotta break above there, you know, for my overall higher time frame to start to shift. So obviously right now, you know, huge bullish candle. What does that all mean? Down to the 4-hour. Down to the 4-hour, we had, obviously we're ranging between these levels, but I'm looking for 4-hour structure. I see 4-hour structure here. What is that based on? That's based on this pullback through the moving average, breaks, makes a new high. This is a trend for me in the 4-hour. You know, makes this low, higher low, makes this new higher high, starts to retest that level, break. Right here, like we go over in the course. Break right here. This is a broken level. What is the first thing we look for after the broken level, everybody? We look for the first lower high. We look for the first lower high so we can fib this, you know, if we want to, fib from our lower high to our low. Reason why I don't fib at the moment, or I'll leave it on actually, I'll leave it on for now. Let me just fix this up. You know, always want to be fairly as accurate as possible with the analysis, clean things up. You know, this is what I'm looking for. Look at this 78.6. You know, obviously have this highlighted zone here. This is that weekly supply zone. Red zone is that daily resistance. You know, definitely multiple confirmations here. 200-day moving average here coming across. So this is what I'm focused on. I'm focused on coming into this area, may consolidate in that area, whatnot. USD CAD loves to do that shit. Consolidate a fuck ton.
Yeah.
And then once I get confirmation in here, I'm over on the 4-hour, then I'll look for shorts. I'll look for shorts, you know, wait for bearish engulfing, stuff like that. You know, similar to this area, bearish engulfing. 2 bearish engulfings in a row. That's what's selling is made of. It's what dreams are made of right there. So I will wait for that. So again, USD CAD, short idea, waiting on the 4-hour. You know, we'll wait and see how things play out with this. You know, market's opening now. Cool. So we'll wait and see. USD JPY. This is another good one. So we got this daily time frame. We finally broke below last week. We had this range. I took it off just to clean things up, but we had this range, finally broke below, which is really good. This daily fib, 100% level tested, pulled back, didn't test a PRZ level, but obviously, you know, made a new lower high here. And I say that because price pulls back through these moving averages like this, finds resistance, you know, pulls through. Definitely a significant point right here. Definitely significant. Look at the moving averages, how they just turned, you know, so significant level. Then we just broke lower. We're hitting weekly support now. We're hitting weekly support level, you know, bullish engulfing here. A lot of wick, a big wick though. Let's go to the 4-hour. 4-hour, this is all I'm looking at on the 4-hour. Made this low, made this lower high, retested this low, consolidated right here, you know, a lot of indecision, but still respecting this 200-day, and then basically made another new low. Made another new low. We just pulled back, moving averages crossed, you know, retested these levels up here. Now what I'm looking for based on, look at my 4-hour fib. Look at my 4-hour fib. I've got 38.2 here, 61.8, 78.6, up here. We already retested that. We had all this bearish momentum, but if I bump down to the 30-minute time frame, for me, this didn't exactly break anything significant. This didn't break anything significant for me. If anything, this is just some sort of retracement here, even on the 30-minute, not going into the 15-minute. The 1 hour, same thing, just a pullback. If anything, we were looking at this as a break to be bullish on the 1 hour. Right now, we're in sort of a bullish trend. But not to confuse ourselves, the 4-hour is bearish. The 4-hour is bearish. We want to wait until we can break that 30-minute, 1 hour bullish trend, and then we will look to short. So what is my idea is at the moment, right now, I would have to break this level. If we just opened and closed below here, retest, I'd look to short. But I don't think based on how this is forming right now, that's going to happen. I'm thinking more that this is going to pop back up here, similar to all of our USD strength, and then retest these highs, and then we will look to short. So I'm going to stay on the 4-hour. I'm going to stay on the 4-hour, wait till this comes up, bump down. Again, USD JPY, red, USD CAD, red, USD CHF, red. All means I'm waiting on the 4-hour. That means I probably won't check these pairs until tomorrow. I probably won't check these pairs till tomorrow. GU and NU I'm going to check today. I'll post those in the premium analysis for the members. I'll post that in here for you guys, as I see some opportunities coming up. And then obviously another thing to look at for everybody that we didn't mention is April monthly candle just closed. The April monthly candle just closed. So you want to look at that and see how that lines up with everything that's going on. It's a little bit different right now because of, look at this monthly chart. It looks fucking nuts. So, don't want to confuse yourselves for sure, but you do want to look and see, if there's some sort of bullish engulfing that happened or bearish engulfing, that can just continue to support for you, your sentiment, stuff like that. So I'm going to bump back down to the 4-hour. We're going to come on the 4-hour like this. The last pair that I'm going to go over is going to be GJ. I didn't do an analysis on this, but we can do that really quickly. Similar to a lot of these other pairs too. Let's just start on the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, bearish. Look at this trend line. Trend line, bearish. Found support here. We're sitting below this resistance level, sitting below the moving averages. Last week's candle closed, huge wick, bearish. So what did I just do on the weekly? I recognized my trend. I looked at my moving averages. I looked at candlestick analysis, last thing. So 3 things. Those are the 3 things I looked at. For those that have the trading plan, that is what's in there. That is what tells you guys to do. It's right here. I'll go over real quick. Monthly key levels, overall structure bias, candlestick analysis. 1 look. That's it. All right. So back to this daily time frame. Got my fibs on here. Made this low, retested weekly resistance level. Come back up here at 50%. Last week didn't close a bearish engulfing, but we are below the moving averages now. The red is over blue, so that's continuing to support that we are transitioning to head downwards, guys. Continuing to support that we could head down. Let's just cycle down though. On this daily time frame, what could this be? This could potentially be like a head and shoulders. This could potentially be a head and shoulders pattern. We've got left shoulder, head, right shoulder, boom. We could see something like that start to form. We would need a break below that level, but that would be clutch if we started to catch it, a little bit earlier. Let's hit the 4-hour time frame immediately. I recognize 4-hour time frame is bullish. 4-hour time frame broke this, made a new high right here. We're retesting this level now. So we'll see. We need a lot more to happen right now. On the 4-hour, we would need it to break all the way down here. We would need this to break. On the 1 hour, it's very similar. You know, we would need that to break as well because the 1 hour higher lows is down there too. So, you know, we gotta wait on we gotta wait right now on GJ. We gotta see what happens. You know, if we do break upwards, close above this red zone, I might consider high. So I'm all over the place on GJ right now. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna keep that one red. So again, got my watch list. You know, how did I set this up? I just made a new list. Major pairs are in here. Minor pairs are here. I just categorize them red and orange. Orange ones, lower time frames that I'm ready to enter on potentially. Red ones, higher time frames. I do not have BTC analyzed, so I'm going to remove that. And yeah, that's the Sunday Market Blitz. For you guys that are interested, obviously right now we are doing this $1 promotion. You know, what does that mean and why are we doing it? We're doing a $1 promotion. We are putting in a ton of work, you know, right now on the signals. We're definitely getting some good results with them. There's a ton to be learned in there. I know we do the live trading sessions for free, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, there's more beyond that. There's a full course for you guys inside the signals. Goes over fundamentals, goes over monthly, weekly, daily time frame, you know, what we look at on those time frames. The trading plan that I just referenced is in here. You know, we do some webinars too throughout the month. So we're about to get started for next month. You know, it's what is it, May 3rd now? Like pretty much May 5th is going to be like the first real day that's going to count towards our next month of results. And we're going to go through, and this is $1. It's $1 for the first month. You will be charged after that the normal price. I want everyone to understand that, but you will get a full month, you know, full month inside and experience what's going on here for $1. So if you guys want to sign up, you know, see what we're about, feel free to message me. I'll drop the links to you. There are limited spots. It's going to be going on for at least the next couple of days, but if we do run out of spots on the coupon, then that's pretty much it. So that is the $1 promotion that we do have going on right now. And that's pretty much it. You know, that's pretty much it. Sunday Market Blitz. If Nick has anything else you want to sign off.
I mean, other than that, I mean, if you're thinking about joining, definitely try and do it by today. Because again, you know, it does kind of fill up quick. And, you know, once it's filled up, that's pretty much it. Then you'll have to, if you do want to join signals, you would then have to pay full price. But guys, as always, we post all these analyses in Discord, updates throughout the week as well. Go through, check out the resources, talk with other traders, see what you know, they're saying about us, you know, read testimonials, get a feel for what we're all about. But guys, thank you again for sticking with us on another Sunday Market Blitz, you know.
And I'm about to post for you guys that are in here the giveaway from yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm about to post the winner of that shortly after this, and the recording of this will be dropped soon. So best of luck to all you guys this week. I see you, Eldon. Best of luck to you, my bro. And we'll catch you guys on the live session on Tuesday.
All right, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Later.